Houston is getting an updated look thanks to a mural festival freshening things up around town.
Sherman Child takes us on a tour of big walls, big dreams.
Meet Ramon Static, who got off a plane 2 hours ago.
I'm from the south side of Chicago.
What are you doing here, man?
Unfinished business.
After a rain delay in May, he and other artists are back to finish their H-Town murals for Big Walls, Big Dreams.
The theme is Refresh Houston. We're giving a fresh life to some of these older buildings. And then also we wanted something to look forward to coming out of the pandemic.
Most are painted on walls like the sides of businesses, like 365 Fitness on the Gulf Freeway.
But I have seen a lot of people come through, and stopping by to take pictures. And so obviously, we want that type of foot traffic through, and maybe they ask questions about the gym itself.
A small army of designers and artists have been working in Houston for the past few weeks, putting their imaginations to work using concrete as their canvas. Ramon is using Metro rail support columns and incorporating them into his design of trees and flowers.
That in turn makes the piece more natural to the environment. Trying to bring more nature into this concrete area. Every space counts. Every space has its power.
Altogether, there are 21 murals all across town, many of them hidden gems that seemingly pop up out of nowhere. So organizers have created maps so you can find them and even curated them into self-guided bike tours. So, enjoy. Sherman Chow, KHOU 11 News.